Everyone, welcome to Chris's Addiction Workshop. So tonight, all we're going to be talking about is anxiety and stress. So thank you everyone for coming on. I know everyone's been saying it says 11 o'clock, but on my one it says 10 o'clock. So I'm not sure what's going on, whether it's other people's computers. It's probably my computer, but definitely when I do this Be Live and I set this Facebook Live up, it definitely says 10 o'clock on mine. So I just don't know why it's reading 11 o'clock on other people's, but it looks like everyone's saying 11. But if yours says 11, just put up yours is saying 11. So how you doing, Leslie? Thank you for coming on. Amanda, thank you for being on. And I don't know whether the rest of these are just old messages. So hope you're all having a brilliant Sunday evening. To be honest, I've been in about 15 minutes. Because we went to 2 firework displays tonight. So one was at my friend John's at his house, and then we went to the Robin Hood pub. He's a friend of mine, Andy Selby. So they're really good fireworks. The last one we only just turned up just to see the end of it, but really, really good fireworks. So I've hoped you've all. Amanda's saying 9. So I don't know. We've got 10, 11, 9. How you doing, Jamie? Thank you for coming on. It's set for friends, right? So this is what I've got to do. Let me just edit this privacy. That's what we've got to do. So we've changed it. So if anyone wants to share this video, if anyone wants to share this Facebook Live, you can press share. But we're going to be talking about anxiety and stress. So if anyone wants to put up your questions, if you've got any questions for me around anxiety and stress, just put up some comments. I'm going to try and teach you some tools tonight to help you deal with anxiety and stress. Jamie just says she's recovering from an operation. So I did see a picture, Jamie. So good luck on your recovery. Andy Selby, we got Andy Selby on. So this is the guy who set up the Robin Hood pub. It's over right by Buckmore Park, is it? The go-karting place. In Medway. So it was absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Andy. There was about 500 people there. It was absolutely packed. So it was a really, really good evening. So thank you, Andy. Thank you for inviting us over there. Archie had a really good time, so did Karen, and it was good to see Leon and Pickle and Jess and everyone else that came tonight. So anxiety and stress. I want to teach you some tools tonight that are going to help you start to deal with it, okay? Because believe it or not, anxiety and stress is an emotion. It's an emotion and a feeling that we all get. So it's not like you're a drug addict or you're suffering with some sort of addictions, okay? Because you can get rid of those. But anxiety and stress is fundamental to our survival. So anxiety and stress, we need. How you doing, Claire? Thank you for joining us. We've got the amazing Claire Taylor on. So Claire is the person that we run our retreats with. So just quickly, we are running an anxiety and stress weekend retreat. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later on, but we have got a couple of spaces if you're interested. Then you private message me, but we will talk a little bit about this as we go along. So we got Silvio. How you doing, Silvio? Great to have you on, my friend. He says hello. Almost says she says. He said hello, Chris. Hope you're well. So definitely are. So Amanda says good evening, everyone. So look, let's start to deal with this anxiety and stress. What is it? It's an emotion. It's an emotion and feeling that we feel inside. People suffer with anxiety and stress because they're experiencing it all day, every day, under really, really bad, conditions, okay? But what I want to say to people is anxiety and stress is fundamental to our survival. We actually need anxiety and stress because it's our guide. Believe it or not, when you get that empty, insecure feeling, when you get that nervousness, when you think something's wrong, I need to step back from this, okay, it's a warning, okay? Your mind and your body are warning you consciously that there's something wrong and you need to take some sort of action. Now, for everyone that doesn't understand that, they treat it as something really bad and they're fearful of these emotions. And when people get fearful, what do? We step back until we feel comfortable again. And this is a problem for a lot of people, because the more anxiety you experience, the less you experience life. So we have so many people that are suffering with anxiety and stress that they literally just can't go out the front door. You know, they open the front door, they step out, they feel, you know, this anxiety, this thing come right over them. They feel sick, nausea, and then all of a sudden they say, right, I'm not going out, and then they go back into their house. And every time you allow that mind and that body to you know, control one of your decisions, then the next time you go out, it will be even stronger, because the mind manifests what you're experiencing. Even though it's creating it, the more you accept these anxiety and stresses, the more it will, you know, control your life. And so my job is to get you out of this. My job is to get you understanding how this mind and body work, give you some tools that help you deal with the anxiety and stress. Because believe it or not, even though we don't control it, yeah, we can calm it. So we can reduce the amount of anxiety and stress that you're getting. And, you know, there's some really, really simple tools that are really going to help you tonight. So Carol Baker says, it affects me most around my ex. Right, so that's really, really understandable. I'm just going to, let me just put that up. So look, so we got Carol Baker. She says, it really affects me most when I'm around my ex. So that's really, you know, it's a really good example, because when you're around your ex, that means that you had, you know, a breakup, you know, and a breakup is usually painful. And so every time you see that person, what happens is the brain, the mind, brings up all of those past experiences that you used to, you know, experience when you was with that person. And so it brings up pain, doesn't it? And so every time your mind brings up a memory of pain, what happens emotionally, physically to your body? You start to feel that, don't you? You start to feel that emptiness, the anxiety, the stress, the fear. It's absolutely some of the worst, you know, experiences that we can have. Okay, but the mind's saying, we don't want any more pain. We don't want to experience that anymore. But what you have to do, so just as an example for you, Carol, what you have to do is you have to learn some self-talk technique. So every time you know you're going to be seeing your partner, so before you see, you know, him, okay, you would prep yourself. So you would prep your mind, and you'd be saying, "Look, I've got to see my ex, you know, whether we got to, you know, exchange, you know, you might be picking up your kids or something. I mean, I don't know, you know, the reason why you're seeing your ex, but if you prepare yourself, now I know I'm going to see my ex, I'm not actually going to be with him, we're not getting back together. If you start doing that calming, that reassurance, but it all comes with a conversation, not with you and your friend, you and your, you know, your parents or, you know, your neighbor. It's a conversation that you have to have with yourself. Now, I know you're sitting there and thinking, what do you mean? Well, I've got to just talk to myself, you know, and who am I talking to? I might as well be talking to my hand or something. But like, seriously, right, your mind, you know, this thing here, I know we can't see our mind, I know we can see our brain, but every single one of you's got this mind, okay? It's a very, very powerful thing, you know. I mean, how do you describe the mind? You know, it could be, I know we've got the brain, but, you know, how do you explain the mind? Like, it's almost like a spiritual thing, isn't it? Even though I don't do religion. But see, when I talk about the mind and I talk about who we are consciously, you know, I separate both from, you know, from the physical, yeah? Because this is the physical that you see, but the mind, and even us consciously, you know, we're almost like the spiritual part of who we are, you know, consciously. So the mind is a very powerful thing, even though that you can't see it, but it's literally like the control center to everything. So it controls our heart rate, our body temperature, our lung function, our digestive system. You know, it makes sure that I'm breathing, even though I can hold my breath, I can't hold it for too long. So we have a very powerful mind, you know, and this physical body, but trust me when I say that they're both independent. They're both working independently to you. So your mind is always saying, you know, be careful of this, don't do this, don't do that. You know, it sees your ex, oh no, God, we don't want to experience all that bad. So it creates the anxiety. So your job consciously, your job is to be able to retrain that mind, to calm that mind, that when you go and see your ex, it's not going to be a problem. Okay, and as long as you say these kinds of things to your mind, you calm the mind, you calm the body, and then you won't suffer with as much anxiety. I'm not saying that you're going to clear it, because again, it is a safety mechanism. And if you've got history of this, your ex, then there's always going to be something, but it doesn't mean you've got to suffer with it. Okay, and that's for everybody. If you are suffering with anxiety and stress at the moment, okay, you've got to get in touch with your mind. You've got to start to build a relationship up with this mind. I know it sounds just absolutely crazy. What you want me to talk to my mind, 100%. I want you to do like what we call self-talk. I want you to open up a dialogue. Even if your mind won't speak to you directly. Like just when I have my addictions, my mind won't say to me, Chris, go and get me like 20 fags, or Chris, go and get me 8 cans of Stella. My mind would never directly talk to me. It can send me some thoughts, have something like 70,000 thoughts every single day, but it isn't like a direct voice. It isn't going, Chris, you better go and get me these fags, or Chris, you better go and see your ex, or Chris, you've got to do this, but emotionally and physically, my mind will talk to me. Emotionally and physically, we are being guided all of the time. Just like when you have hunger for food, your body is telling you it's time to eat. We don't question it, we just go and eat. Well, most of the time we don't question it. But of course, if you go on a diet and you don't do what your mind and body are asking, then you'll get some anxiety, guaranteed. So I'm just going to read a message. Let me just go to this one. Sharon says, my anxiety gets me so bad, Chris. I have a go at my loved one. So yeah, so it's not easy. See, you got to understand when you're and you just put another message out. She says, I feel I dig them out, and after I feel worse. So thank you for putting them up, Sharon. Look, what's happening is you're going through a trauma, isn't it? When we've got anxiety and stress, we're going through some sort of trauma, some sort of traumatic experience that's happening inside of us. So it's not happening out here. It's not happening with your loved ones, your kids, or anything like that. But you've got an internal anxiety. You've got an internal stresses. So if you can imagine that your insides are like like the ocean, yeah. So your insides are like this. Waves crashing. It's not a good place to be in. What you need is your insides to be calm, the waters to be nice and shallow. It's just a calmness, because when you're calm, then you're not going to be biting people's heads off. You're not going to be, shouting at people, because you're going to be in a calm place. But the only way that you can get yourself into a calm place is you've got to calm the mind. If you don't calm the mind, you're going to have, these waves of anxiety and stress and fear. And so all someone's got to say to you is, they just say, how you doing, Chris? All right. And you'll be like, what do you mean I'm all right? You'll be like, arr, and people would just be looking at you going, what's wrong with you? Because it's out of context. See, our traumas come from within us. It's like when I teach addiction is an inner thing. It isn't an external thing. It's like, we've got drugs in front of us, whether it's alcohol or cocaine or something, and people think the drugs are the problems. Well, the drugs aren't forcing you to take them. It's your mind and your body that force people to take the drugs. And it's the same with anxiety. If you consider your mind, and I don't know if that was a brilliant explanation of the mind, but I do try. But the mind, believe it or not, is like an over-worried mother. Yeah, so sorry about all the mums out there, or it could be an over-worried father. I always say it's an over-worried mother, because, the mind is always saying, don't do this, be careful of that, don't touch that, don't walk out there, don't start this business, don't have a go, all of the time we're being told what to do. And every time we go to do the thing that we really want to do, like going to see your ex, going to do something that, used to be like fearful, but the mind still believes it is. So even though you're split up from your partners or whatever it is, even though you go near them, the mind brings in all this anxiety. So what we have to do, just like past experiences, we have to find out exactly what's going on. So these are little tools that are going to help you, okay? So someone's just put, I'm listening, Chris, I need this right now. So don't worry, look, this is a tool that's going to help you. So look, if you take, for example, the ex, I've got to go and see the ex, right? So this is the anxiety, this is the fear, it's going on in my mind, and I'm just about to go and see the ex. So what do we do? How do we reduce that anxiety? So what we're going to do is take that thought, you know, I'm going to see the ex, yeah? You pull it out of your head, right? Now you've got to imagine this, yeah? So I know it is, but it should be easy because you've all got imagination, but I want you to take the thought and I want you to hold it in your hand. And when you're holding that in your hand, so this is the thought, this is what I've got anxiety and stress about, right? I'm going to see the ex, right? So what is the solution to this problem? So I'm holding this thought in my hand, I'm going to see the ex. What is the solution to this problem? And you've got to work out what the solution is, because as soon as you go into a solution-based thought process, okay, you go into a positive mindset. And as soon as you go into a positive mindset, you're looking for the solution, it starts to reduce the anxiety. So we're looking at the ex, right? What can I do? Right, I've got to pick the kids up from the ex. So I've got to see him. So I haven't got any other choice. I've got to go and meet him to get the kids, as an example, yeah? So there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I'm not with him, so I'm not actually experiencing all that fear or you know, abuse that I may have, you know, past experience. All I've got to do is just pick the kids up, be nice and, you know, pleasant and whatever, and then just go away with the kids. So that is a solution to the problem. It may just be one solution, but that is a solution to the problem. Now I've found the solution, guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it over here and just let it go, because I've sorted the problem out. Now, you give it, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes. If your anxiety and stuff hasn't gone and you still feel that emptiness, that horribleness, that anxiety and stress, I want you to do this, right? I want you to say, why am I feeling like this? Yeah. So you have to ask yourself a question, but remember, you're asking your mind the question. You're not asking the world or the universe or anything. You're actually asking an internal question. And so you say, right, so why am I still feeling this anxiety? As soon as you ask yourself a question, guess what's going to happen? Your mind is going to give you an answer. Believe it or not, you know, like when I said the mind doesn't speak to us directly or that, but do you know what? Every time you ask yourself a question, your mind has to give you an answer. So immediately you ask the question, your mind is going to say the X, right? As an example, it's going to say the X, got to see the X. So again, you pull that thought out, you hold it in your hand and you say, I thought we dealt with this. You know, I've got to go and see the ex. You know, I'm going to be nice and pleasant. I'm going to get the kids, you know, and then we're going to go away. So it isn't a problem. But I thought we sorted this out. So I've already sorted the solution. I'm just going to put it over here. We're going to let it go. And every time you do something like this, the mind is reducing the anxiety. The mind says, we thought you needed the stress. We thought you needed the anxiety because you're seeing it. And you're saying, I really appreciate you sending me this, but I don't need to hear this anymore. We've got to see him. I've got to get the kids, you know, but I'm not living with him and I'm not experiencing that trauma anymore. So we're just letting it go. And you just let it go. And you just imagine that you're pulling it, you know, you're just holding it. You're pulling it from your head. You're just holding it in your hand and we're just letting it go. The other thing, I'm just going to put a message up because I just want to explain this a little bit more. So let me just put this up. So Sharon says, Chris, my anxiety is due to the loss of family members. Feel very empty inside. I try so hard to overcome this. I can't seem to grieve. My mind says, block it out. I'm so confused constantly, and it's affecting my life so bad. So Chris, my anxiety is due to the loss of family members, and I feel empty inside. So I can 100%, I know exactly what you're experiencing because I lost my twin brother. You know, I feel that loss, you know, physically, like daily. Okay. So when you lose someone, there's absolutely nothing that you can do about that, you know, and I want to say to everyone, yeah, things get better, you know, you soon get over it. I've never ever got over my brother's death, and you know, and people have said to me before, do you know what, we could help you take away some of that pain. You know, I've had people say that we could hypnotize you and do this, and you know, I've had church people say that, you know, you can. People say to me, we can get rid of the pain, and do you know what? I don't want anyone to get rid of the pain. You know, without that pain, I've lost that connection. Even though pain is not good, I need that connection. I need to stay connected with my brother. So I actually understand the anxiety, you know, due to the loss of family members. but I'm not sitting with anxiety. Does that make sense? So I feel the pain. I feel the pain of the loss, okay, but I'm not sitting here with anxiety and stress all over me, because anxiety and stress is like a warning signal. It means something's wrong. So I'd be saying to you, even though that you're getting anxiety and stress, it may not be for the loss of your family members. I'd be saying to you that you've got other stuff going on. Now, for you to understand that, for you to understand where your stress is coming from, you are going to have to ask yourself this question. Now, you're going to have to, this is really, really important. You must separate yourself from how this mind and body work. If you don't separate yourself, you're not going to be able to ask yourself an internal question. You have to understand that you consciously are separate to where all of your thoughts, all of your feelings and all of your experiences are coming from. You see, what we are is the conscious self. Whether you see yourself as a conscious self, a spirit, a soul, you know, I'm not religious, but it's the only way I can explain this. But you are here to experience life. You are here to make decisions and experience what those decisions are. Everything else is coming from this. You have something like 70,000 thoughts. Your emotions and your feelings are completely separate to you. So all of this is your guide. Now, if you're experiencing anxiety and stress every time you see family members, or you remember the family members that are lost, okay, your mind is trying to warn you about something else. So you've got to learn to ask yourself this question. You sit quietly, you sit down and you say, why am I feeling this anxiety? Why am I feeling this stress? And as soon as you ask yourself the questions, I promise, you know, you can do it now. You can do it whilst we're live. You ask yourself a question, your mind is going to give you an answer. Now, sometimes your mind will give you an answer that is completely crazy. It's just completely nuts. It may even be something that is never going to happen. It may have happened many, many years ago. But the problem with the mind, it's like a computer system. It believes what it's doing is right, but half the time, probably even higher, is procrastinating about stuff that we shouldn't even be worrying about. So until, Sharon, you start asking yourself these questions, you're going to keep saying it's because of the fact, look, the loss of the family members. I'd be saying to you that the loss of family members is a pain. You know, anxiety and stress is something different. And I think if you start asking yourself these questions, and you might get like 5 or 6 different answers, but what I want to do is you need to grab the first one. What was the first one that came out? You bring it out here, you hold it in your hand, and you start to question it. And every time you start to question it, you're going to get different answers. You know, no, you're going to find a solution. So not that you are going to get different answers, but you pull the first one out and you start to question it, and then you start to look at the solution. So your anxiety may be, look, I lost someone a year ago. Okay, what is the solution to that problem? Well, there is no solution. 100%. There's nothing we can do. We can't bring people back. So what do? We say, look, I'm not here to forget, you know, and we're not letting this go. But what we need to do is we need to just put it over here. We put it over here. We're not, you know, forgetting about anyone, but we need to get on. We need to get on with our day-to-day business. We need to get on with some decision making. So thank you for sending me this. We're just going to put it over here for now, okay? And then we, you know, carry on with whatever we're doing. If you're still feeling anxiety and stress, you know, you say, right, why am I still feeling this? You wait for another answer. You bring the answer out here. We start looking for the solutions, okay? These are very simple things to do. You don't have to, you know, have the knowledge of the mind and the body and all of this. You just have to understand that your mind is separate. Your mind is sending you messages. You know, my mind sends 50 to 70,000 messages every single day, just making sure I'm not going to trip over. I'm not going to fall over. You know, I'm not going to drop something. I'm not going to embarrass myself when I say something. I mean, that's a really good thing as well. So you know what I just said about embarrassing ourselves? See, I talk about people that are drinking alcohol. So people drink alcohol. Now, before you're drinking alcohol, there's no way that you'd embarrass yourself saying something to anyone. You know, we have this protective barrier. We know not to, you know, say something out of line or, you know, upset anyone. But as soon as we have a drink of alcohol, guess what happens? We lose our inhibition. So we actually lose that protection between, you know, our subconscious mind and ourselves. And the more that we drink alcohol, the more we slip out things that we wouldn't normally say to people. And basically what's happening, we're just starting to lose consciousness. Now, again, if you're suffering with anxiety and stress, you know, when you've had a drink and that, then, you know, that's another issue in itself. So we would have an alcohol problem and an anxiety and stress problem. Now, if you're suffering with both, then we may have to look at, you know, you're drinking alcohol. Let's get rid of the alcohol and then see how much anxiety and stress that you might be experiencing. So there's always, it can be like a dual thing going on. So it could be, you know, something to do with drugs as well as anxiety and stress. Hopefully that you're getting something from that, Sharon. You know, as I say, you can try this whilst we're on air, and you can come back to me. I mean, come back to me and tell us, you know, what is your mind saying to you at this moment? What is you're experiencing anxiety and stress? And that's for anyone on this line. If you're experiencing anxiety and stress, what is your mind saying to you at this moment? Okay, ring the thought out here. Let's start questioning it. So I don't know if you want to put something like that up. So we got Zara. Zara says, hi, Chris. Good evening. Thank you for your time and help us all with your help and advice. I shall be trying this out. Okay, you're going to be so surprised how simple this. I'm not saying that this is going to solve everyone's anxiety and stress and no one's ever going to feel it anymore. But what we need to do, if you don't understand what it is, then how can you fix it? If you don't understand what the problem is, how can you fix it? You can't, can you? And the problem is, we all go to the doctors, don't we? We go to the doctors and say, I'm under tremendous stress. I'm under, you know, I've got anxiety, you know, I'm getting palpitations, you know, I feel like I'm having a panic attack. So what does the doctor do? The doctor says it's not a problem. You know, we'll book you on a CBT course in about 6 months' time. And for the time being, we'll give you antidepressants, which are going to suppress all of your thinking, all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your emotions, and then they just leave you, don't they? So you're left with taking tablets. You get CBT in about 6 months' time, but apart from that, you're just left, and there is no solution. We found no solutions to any of the problems, when what they should be saying is just use some simple self-talk techniques, open up a dialogue with your mind, ask your mind what the problem is, find a solution. Once you've found a solution, you just let it go. Just let them go. Every time you let it go, it's gone, isn't it? It's gone. Believe it or not, your mind is a very clever, sophisticated machine, if you like to call it a machine, you know, and it's working a program. And as soon as you find a solution to the problem, then, you know, that's what happens. So let me just come back down. So Sharon's just put up another message. She says, why do I keep overthinking? So you're overthinking because you're looking for the solution, isn't it? We're overthinking, going, what's wrong with me? Why? There must be something wrong with me. And every time you say there must be something wrong with me, your mind is mirroring it. So it's just mirroring back everything that you're experiencing. So you're going, why is it all bad? And your mind's going, yeah, it's bad. So give you some more experiences of bad. So I don't know if you've ever watched the law of addiction, law of attraction, The Secret, stuff like that. That will teach you some really simple tools to be able to understand how your mind and body work. Because everything that we're speaking about, this is really important, everything that we speak about, like words, everything that we think about, so this is not your thoughts, it's what you're thinking about, is always being mirrored back. And so if you're thinking about past experiences of loss of family, then your mind has to bring up some sort of anxiety and stress and fear around it. If you're thinking about the future and you're thinking about, you know, a great business idea, or, you know, your kids getting married and some good stuff, then all of a sudden you're mirroring back some really positive stuff. So I'll be saying to everyone, let's look, you know, please be careful of the way that you speak. I'm not saying let's just do positive talk all day and everything's going to be all right. It doesn't work. It's not that simple, but these are tools that you can use. So when I'm having a conversation with someone, I try to stay in the positive, and I try, you know, even if I think a negative thought, I try to bring it round as a positive thing, because the more you feel positivity, the more it will, you know, mirror out to everybody else. And you know, when we're around negative people, someone's going, oh, life's shit, isn't it? Or this has happened and that's happened and this is bad and that, you know, you suck it in, don't you? You're like, it's like pulling you down. You know, I don't know if you've ever been in that conversation when someone's so down and then all of a sudden you come there. What you need to do is bring that person out. You know what? So if that's bad, but let's look at the positive of that, and and then all of a sudden you can start to pull yourself out. I'm just going to go to a couple of messages that I've just let me go back down a sec. So because there's a few messages. So Zoe says, I've not been on for a while. Hope all is well. Lisa says that happened to me, Chris. I've been on tablets for 15 years. So 15 years, that is not, some people say 15 years you've been on antidepressants. That's not uncommon, because every time you go back to the doctors and you say, I've come off the tablets, but all that anxiety's come back. All the doctor says is we'll increase the dosage and every time you try and come off them, see what they are, to believe it or not, antidepressants are just another addictive drug. They're just an antidepressant. They just suppress your emotions and your feelings. So every time you come off antidepressants, guess what comes back? All of your emotions and feelings come back, but guess what they've been doing for the last 15 years? They've been suppressing the emotions and feelings you was experiencing 15 years ago. And so all of a sudden they all come back and you say, whoa, I'm still feeling like I did 15 years ago. You go back to the doctor and says, it's not a problem. You just keep taking these tablets. So we need to understand what's going on in here. So, you can actually live a life free of antidepressants. It's just no one ever told you how. I run workshops on this. I run retreats. We may even run like a seminar, hopefully before Christmas. But listen, if any of these issues are bothering you, we are doing, I know it's a little bit of a short notice, but we've got a couple of spaces left on a retreat next weekend, 10th, 11th and 12th. It's about 2.5 days that we spend in Hertfordshire. So if that's of interest to you, please just private message me or put a message up here and I can contact you after or tomorrow. So let me just come back to some messages. So let me just come down a second because I just want to read Carol's. So I just want to put this up. So Carol says mine is a fear of him keeping my daughter forever. So that's a real fear, isn't it? So sorry about all the other questions that are coming up. So Carol, that is a real fear. So you've got a fear that he's going to steal your daughter, blah, blah, blah. Right, what is the light? Right, so let's look at that as a problem, yeah? So I've got a fear of my ex stealing my daughter and not allowing me to see her again. So that's really, really real. And our kids are the most precious thing in the world to us. So what is the likelihood of that? So there are laws, aren't there? There are laws in this country that says no one can steal a child. Doesn't matter whether you're the parent or you're not parent or you're the guardian or that. No one can steal a child. There are laws that say that child is whoever that legal guardian is must stay with that a parent. So whether the parent or the guardian, whatever. So you have to look at the logic in this, yeah. Would the law allow someone to steal that child? So the probably answer to that is no. Unless somebody was like, taking someone abroad. But even if they took them abroad, there are laws right around Europe, right around the world that this couldn't happen unless it was something to do with, like, I know there's some I don't know all of the laws, but I'm guessing there are some countries that someone. It's just, the light of it is happening. It is very, very, low. Okay. So it's your mind that's bringing up the anxiety. Remember, you consciously, you just want to see the best for your daughter and do whatever you can. But it's the mind that is procrastinating. It's not even the ex. It's the mind that's bringing up all of these fears, all of these anxieties. If you think, like when, something on the news and they say, oh, in 2000, we're coming out of Brexit. For the last 2 years, we've been crapping ourselves about what's going to happen when we come out of Europe, and so we've spent the last 2 years or however long it is thinking that we're all the house prices are going to crash, the economy is going to crash, the pound's going to crash, so we're absolutely living in fear. And when we actually do go through Brexit and come out the other side, and then you realize that none of these things happen or we're going to have happened, or they're not even likely to happen, and then you wonder yourself, why have I suffered with anxiety and stress for the last 2 or 3 years because of something that never ever happened. And your mind is very much like this. Your mind will procrastinate for weeks or months or years or whatever over something that may not even happen. What you need to do is you need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself, like mentally and physically, so that you're not suffering with this anxiety and stress inside of you. You need to use some self-talk techniques. Listen, if you want to understand what my self-talk techniques are, please go onto my website, beatmyaddictions.com. On my website, beatmyaddictions.com, is a free 7-day, we call it an addiction plan, but it's basically teaching you this model of life. It teaches you this model of how your mind and body work. Once you understand this model, then you can take control of everything that's happening inside of you. So if you're suffering with anxiety and stress, you understand the model, you understand self-talk techniques, you can train yourself to have less anxiety and less stress, less procrastination, less fear, less all of these things that are happening inside of us. So when you see your ex, you are much more in control, okay? It's really, really important, but you have to understand the model before you can really start using it. So yes, I've given you some techniques like this, bringing out thoughts, you questioning them, finding solutions, letting them go. And if it comes back up, we deal with the next one. Or if you've got 3 or 4, you just keep one at a time. Let's deal with this one first. You 2 can wait. We go with the next one, and then that's how it happens, okay? If you're on antidepressants, please don't just stop taking your antidepressants. Please go and consult your doctor. Please read the information that I share. Understand it before you would even contemplate stopping, okay? So let me just come back up with some more questions. So Sarah says, what do you do when you, let me just put this one up. Sarah says, what do you do when you pick yourself up time and time again, but you still keep getting knocked back down, okay? So it's a really, really good one, but I would be saying to you, Sarah, you have to engage, yeah? If you want to sort the problems out, yeah, instead of trying to sort them out yourself and keep getting knocked down and get back up and get knocked down and get back up, seek help, yeah? Come and see me. Anyone can contact me. I will teach you this plan, but you've got to take action. If people don't take action, you're not going to get the solution, okay? You can sit and listen to this or read, tapes or books or something, but unless you're willing to physically take the action, nothing is going to work. I want things just that I want a magic wand that I can just wave and everyone's going to be good, but all of this takes some hard work. And if you're not prepared to do some hard work, we just end up sitting with the problem. So I'm just going to read. Carol says, my panic attacks have only been caused by my abusive ex. Okay, so again, what are panic attacks? Panic attacks mean that after a while of you suffering with anxiety and stress, there's a build up, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then we really start to experience some serious panic attacks. Now, I understand what panic attacks are. I used to suffer with terrible anxiety and stress. I actually ended up in hospital once through thinking I was just actually having a heart attack. Literally just passed out in the car because I thought, oh my God, this is it. Got rushed through to A&E, literally on a stretcher, plugged into all the heart monitors. I was just thinking, this is it. 20 minutes later, being unplugged and being told, we're sorry, Mr. Hill, but you can go. And I was saying, look, I can't go because I'm dying. And they said, you've just had a panic attack. We're really sorry to tell you this, but, there's nothing wrong with you. And, and it's absolutely, embarrassing almost, isn't it? You think you're dying and it's almost like we've caused it ourselves. Panic attack, anxiety, stress. This isn't me, but my body is experiencing this or is creating these emotions, and we didn't know why. So it's a real thing. Every single person is experiencing some sort of anxiety and stress on some sort of level. So I'm just going to go to Lizzie. Lizzie says, I worry about everything. It makes me ill. So what you've got to do, and, as really, really simple as it is, you've just got to say, look, I'm not prepared to live like this anymore. I'm not prepared to live with this worry, this anxiety, this stress. You know, what are we worrying about? No one else is worrying about this stuff, so why are we worrying about it? And then that's when we have to change. You've got to start questioning what is happening in here. It's really, really important. So, and so did Zoe. Zoe says she's doing the same. But listen, there may be some outside influences that are causing all of this anxiety. So it could be addictions, it could be relationships, it could be your job, it could be all of these, right? But it's very, very difficult sometimes to deal with this until you start dealing with your mind. And, you know, trust me, that's where you have to go to start sorting these things out. So Lisa says, hopefully I can pull off the meds soon with your tools. So 100% you can. Claire says, I can't be around negative people. So I would say it's not that you can't be around negative people, but, you know, the world is quite a negative place, isn't it? But what you try and do, you try and draw in the positivity. You know, if you're thinking positively, if you're feeling positivity, then you won't attract negative people. But if you're feeling down and you're feeling stressed and you actually draw those people into your life, you know, a lot of people just don't believe it, but this stuff is happening. So you know, to fix the problem, you don't have to fix the negative people. You've got to fix what's happening here. You have to turn this into a really positive mind. You have to, you know, end the anxiety and stress by finding the solutions, and then that is going to really, really help you out. So I'm just going to go on to Claire. So Claire says, I want to change the amount of medication I'm on, even though my GP says it's such a lot, but it's prescribed by a psychiatrist, so the GP can't do much. Both times I've been in Oxley's and they've just upped my meds. Well, they're going to up your meds because that's the only thing, that's the only solution. NHS is a pharmaceutical solution. It isn't mind-based. They absolutely don't even believe in the mind. You know, even I struggled a little bit to explain the mind at the beginning of this video. The NHS don't accept it. Yeah, they're just a pharmaceutical solution-based medical profession, and everything else isn't considered, which is, you know, shocking really, because we've got people committing suicide, we've got people having mental breakdowns, we've got people being admitted to psychiatric wards. There's a lot going on, but without opening up all possibilities, bringing in, you know, some holistic therapies, we're never going to find the solution. And all the time, the NHS, you know, and where the problem goes, it goes back to pharmaceutical companies, you know, because NHS can't make any, well, the pharmaceutical companies can't make any money if we're teaching people how to retrain their mind, because there's no cost involved, is there? If you're teaching people simple self-talk techniques, well, where are the pharmaceutical companies going to make the money? And so they ignore it, and they're very powerful industries that have a lot of weight over NHS and doctors and stuff like that. Unless you're medically trained with certification of being a doctor, you know, and they're all funded by pharmaceutical companies and stuff, it's very, very difficult. So, and you know, I've got first-hand experience of taking my model into the NHS and it being really, really successful, but then they're just literally saying, but you can't actually use it because it's not part of the NHS model. So it's really tough, especially for me. So we got David Walker. He said, we're all listening, and Oxley's, I suffer for not seeing my boys. Again, it's very, very hard if you're not allowed to see your kids. But again, your job is to protect yourself, is to protect your emotional, physical, mental health, okay? And the only way that you can do that is reduce your anxiety. So whether you're seeing your kids or not, your job and your job for those kids is to make you the strongest person that you can be. So instead of allowing outside forces to drag you down, you say, there's nothing I can do about this. What I'm going to do is protect this. And you learn self-talk techniques, and through that you will get better, okay? So Sarah says, I come off my antidepressants of 12 years with your 7-day addiction plan, and I feel a lot clearer. So that's really excellent news, Sarah, okay? So Carol says, but he puts my ex addiction into, so Carol's saying, but he puts my ex addiction into account. So people are threatening you. That's what you mean, Carol. People are threatening you. You used to have addictions. You used to have a drink problem. You used to have a drug problem. You know, we can take the kids away. Believe it or not, if you're not taking the drink and the drugs, no one can take the kids away. Okay, they can do hair strand tests. They can do saliva tests. Even if you have still got some sort of addictions that you want to get rid of, just come and see me and I can get rid of them for you. That is what my job is. I help with anxiety and stress, but if you have addictions, I can get rid of those addictions. So as long as you're doing the right thing and you're doing whatever the courts say that you're supposed to be doing, no one can take the kids away. So people are trying to use fear and bullying. So it doesn't work as long as you are doing what we call the right thing. So Lisa says, I'd like to go on another retreat with your panic and anxiety. Can't make this one, but hopefully I'll do another one. The last retreat was amazing and I feel I'm doing so well. So that's really, really good. Thank you for that, Lisa. There will be more. This will probably be the only anxiety and stress weekend that we're doing this year. Other than that, we're doing a personal development one in a couple of weeks, and then we may go back to the food one, and then an addiction one. So if you really are interested in doing an anxiety and stress weekend, trust me, everybody that comes on these weekends, it is life changing. You get 2.5 days of not just me teaching you this model. We get a small group. It's only like between 8 to 10 of us maximum, okay, and we do a lot of we do some yoga, we do some meditation, we do some, we get to watch some really interesting stuff. We bring a couple of films with us, and so we spend the whole weekend bonding together as a group. We share some of our experiences, and you will come out of these weekends with an absolute plan on how to move your life forward. That is what we do. If you can't get onto these retreats, you can either come to one of my help and support workshops that we run, free workshops. They're for an hour and a half every single Wednesday in Sidcup. If you don't live in Sidcup, then I can do some mentoring from afar. So you can contact me at chris@beatmyaddictions.com. So that's chris@beatmyaddictions.com. Send me a message, or you can send me a private message through here at Messenger, and I promise to help. So let me just carry on. So Carol says she will do. There's the address, by the way, because Sarah's really good at putting it up. So it's a free workshop every Wednesday, 7:30 till 9 o'clock, Emmanuel Church, Hadlow Road, Sidcup, DA144AA. I really hope you're getting some good stuff in this broadcast. So Michaela says, Carol, contact Women's Aid. They will have services in your area. So look, there's some information that you can pick up some other services. It doesn't have to be from me. All I'm doing is sharing some tools that we can use. But, there are counsellors, there are therapists, there are psychiatrists, and at times people do need drugs, because when people get so low, people need to be stabilized. So there's always a place for pharmaceuticals, painkillers, drugs, everything. There's always a place for stuff, but not for 15 years, I would say. So it's a really big message here. So you just blocked me out, but let's read it. So Jay says, I should have no reason to be depressed. I have 2 good jobs and I'm extremely busy, but I feel extremely lonely. I have thought about assisted suicide overseas last year, as I was that unhappy, even built a case. I don't think social media helps, as it puts a false perception. Also, it's all about trying to fit in these days, about posing selfies and duck pouts. Also, people are just letdowns, going live for yourself. Yeah, so that's not really a good message, is it? Perhaps I should have read that before I put it up. Anyway, so we put it up. Look, Jay, you've got a lot going on. It's really, really hard when you're in a really, really dark place, and it sounds like you're in a dark place. So what you need to do is you need to reach out. Yeah, I know it's hard, but if you reach out, okay, if it's not me, it could be someone else. Someone is willing to help you, okay? So if you're feeling loneliness, if you're feeling like suicide, You know, you can ring the Samaritans. You know, there's other helplines that are out there. If just reach out, okay? You know, your dark place is coming from your mind. It's coming from your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. Every single one of them is separate to who you are consciously. If you don't like what you're experiencing here, then you have to ask for change. And it's you ask in your mind. This is where the change happens, okay? I'm more than happy to talk to you offline. You can just send me a private message through Messenger, and we can pick that conversation up. So thank you for putting up the message. Claire says, I try to be positive. So just, you know, when you say I try to be positive, you have to just keep working at this thing. What we're missing is the self-talk. You know, it's okay saying positive words, but you have to understand the mechanisms. You have to understand how this lot is all working. So I'm just gonna, I'm just having a look. So we're going to go for about another 5 minutes. So sorry if I don't pick up everyone's questions. It says most people with mental health issues are very intelligent or very kind-hearted. They seem to feel everything deeper than a normal person. 100% I would agree, but we need to protect ourselves. So Jay, before I put this message up, Jay says, easier said than done, mate. I've been on meds, also done CBT. It does not work, and I'm still sitting here miserable. So again, hopefully you have been listening to me, because what I'm saying to you is the medical profession at this minute isn't working. It may work for some people. CBT, I think it's got something like 30% success rate. You know, medication keeps people suppressed. But it's not suppression we want. We want to be able to deal with the problems that are causing all of the anxiety. So again, you're saying, just try and connect with me, and we'll see if we can sort your problems out. So Michaela says, I won't agree to medication apart from sleeping pills. Told my shrink he's a glorified drug pusher, went down like a lead balloon. So Carol says 5 days clean, so that's really, really good. Let me just put this one. So Hazel says, hi Chris, just downloaded your 7-day plan to help me give up smoking, depression, and anything else that will help with. We'll keep you posted. So brilliant, Hazel, that's excellent news. I ask everyone, if you can go on there and download this plan, it's really going to help. So Claire says, because of my anxiety, I feel I drink alcohol to be around. Let me just put, sorry, just a hiccup there. So Claire says, because of my anxiety, I feel I drink alcohol to be around people to calm myself down. What that is, Carol, believe it or not, it's an excuse. It's an excuse because we're trying to get the drink in us. We get the drink in us so we don't have to deal with anything. We've been doing it for years and years and years. Everybody's doing it. You know, you have a hard week at work. What do? You have a glass of wine, you have a few beers, and then we suppress the thoughts, suppress the feelings, suppress the emotion. Then we don't have to think about anything. But the problem with it is, you know, alcohol is an addictive drug. It comes with its own side effects. In fact, alcohol is a depressant. And so, you know, it doesn't, yes, we feel pleasure when we drink it because we're ending an aggravation of wanting it. But then after that, we just start losing our consciousness, our ability to control what we say and do. And so, but we all understand the side effects of alcohol. Sarah says, vote for Chris. You can help him change more lives on the Aviva Community Fund page. So, yeah, I've not even mentioned it. So let me say a big, massive thank you to everyone that's been voting for me for this Aviva. I'm actually starting up a charity. The charity is I'm going to do some proper Facebook Lives for this. I'm starting up a charity to help homeless people suffering with addictions, depression. We're going to set up more free workshops. We want to set one up in London. We actually want to sponsor people to go onto the retreats if they can't afford it. We want to give out more booklets. You know, I've been funding this for, I don't know, say the last 2 years. So everything has come out my own pocket. Now, you know, we need to get bigger. We need to help more people. So we're setting up a charity that's going to fund that. So if you've been following me on my Facebook Live, believe it or not, we've got over 2,100 and something votes already. Thank you so much for every single person that's done them votes. Okay, we do need more. So if you can share, if you can, we've all got 10 votes each. Look on my timeline, there's about 100 different posts. I really am sorry for everyone that's going, oh, I've had enough of this. But I've got 12 days, I've got to raise something like 5,000 votes. 5,000 votes. We've got 2,100. It is all doable. We've raised about 1,000 votes in the last 2 days. So I can't thank everyone enough. But please, please, please keep voting. Please ask some family and friends to get involved. I put up some links that you can share on email. So if you go to work tomorrow, could you share it with everyone at work? Could you say, can you help, you know, this guy that is trying to set up a charity to help these homeless people, to help people with addictions? Let's all give him 10 votes each, okay? And let's get into that 5,000 mark. If you can do that, I'd be so happy. So please, if you can do that for me, I really, really appreciate it. But I will be doing some more Facebook Lives. So this is from James Kenny. He said, over a year ago, I visited your workshop on a Wednesday to give up cigarettes, not smoked since. It's like, wow, that's like, isn't that the best news? You know, and people suffer with, you know, it took me years to try and overcome smoking. It never done anything for me. It always cost me a fortune, smelled and disgusting. But we still do it, don't we? So it's absolutely crazy. So we got Katie. So Katie, she says, how do I download the plan? So thank you, Katie, for putting up the question. You go on to beatmyaddictions.com, beatmyaddictions.com, and then you download the 7-day addiction plan. You just put in your email address and it comes into your inbox in one hit. So hopefully that's okay. Let me just go up here. Claire says, I will try and call you or text you over the next few days, Chris. I'm really struggling a bit. So, Claire, could you come on this retreat, okay? Could you make it? It's on the 10th and 11th and 12th. It's next Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. Could you get your partner to look after the kids? Give me a call tomorrow, okay? I know you haven't got a lot of money, so we might have to try and get some funding to get you there. So, but I'm sure there's people that would help, but let's just see what happens. So, I've just lost that a little bit. So I've just got Dale. Dale's been on. He said, I voted. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that everyone's doing. Thank you so much. Carol's saying, thanks, Chris. I really hope you got something from it. And Hazel says, workshop in Essex and Brentwood ideally would be great, Chris. Listen, we can do anything. If you want something set up in your area, you just get in touch with me and let's see what we can actually do. So Carol says, I can't afford the retreat, but would love to go. Again, Carol, if you want to speak to me after, trust me, money isn't the issue, right? We can find money. We can, you know, talk to friends, talk to family, talk to people we know. Okay, is if you really want this, if you really want to go on this retreat, you know, let's find a way. There is always a way. But guess what is stopping us? It's this. It's the mind. It procrastinates. It's procrastinating, saying, oh, but this, we're not good enough. Oh, but, you know, someone else deserves the space. Oh, but this. Oh, but that. Oh, but. And we listen and we listen and we listen, and then we believe it. We absolutely believe there's nothing we can do. And we have to keep living like this. And that is what is the lie, okay? And I'm just going to end probably with this one. And it says, Joni, good talk, thanks, Chris. So thank you for joining us all the way from Canada. So look, that's me for now. I really, really hope you got something from this. You know, I never, ever hold anything back. I want everyone to get this information, get out and start improving their lives, okay? If you want to come and support me, please message me. There's always something that someone can do for us to spread this message and help other people. Part of that is that you could go and share 10 votes for me on this Aviva community competition. Okay, so listen, and Olive, thanks, Olive, for coming on. So listen, thank you so much. You've been an amazing, amazing audience. Thank you for putting on all of your questions. Sarah saying it's so inspirational. I'm crying. Please don't cry. This is all about knowledge and sharing knowledge to help other people. Let's get out of the stigma of mental health, the stigma of anxiety and stress and depression. Let's get away from the stigma of addiction. Let's all start talking about it. Let's bring it into the open. There's nothing wrong with any single one of you. Every single one of you is this beautiful soul, spirit, conscious self. We only are looking for happiness. Happiness is our #1 goal. This is what we're trying to teach people. I promise we can get you out wherever you are, you know, whatever state that you think you're in and you think there isn't a way out. Please just reach out, get in touch with us, and we will find a solution no matter what. There isn't anyone that we turn down. Everything is open, everything is free. Even like we do paid workshops and paid seminars and retreats. There's all the information is still free, and there's still free workshops, and you can still get help and support absolutely free on a one-to-one basis. So listen, just get in touch. Have a great evening. I will be back on really, really soon. I think I'm doing an interview with Denise Rutilia again on Tuesday. So if you want to understand food, she's actually doing a retreat in Thailand. So I'm not going to Thailand, but if you want to go to Thailand over Christmas or just before Christmas, then look out for the Facebook Live we're going to be doing on Tuesday evening. But for now, just have a great evening, and I'm going to see you all really, really soon. But look out for the post about the competition for Aviva. So thank you very much. See you all soon. I'll see you. Bye. See you all really soon. See ya.